Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm here with another book review. This one, I have all the feels with this book. This is Finding Freedom by Erin French. She is the owner of a restaurant called The Lost Kitchen, and it says it's a cook story remaking a life from scratch. This came out in April 2021, and I got it as an advanced reader copy, but if you were to buy this book, you would get it as a hardcover. But sometimes the advanced reader copies come as trade paperbacks. I had actually they're right here. I had some nonfiction books that had been collecting right here. I had some nonfiction books that had been collecting on my bookshelf that I got that was sent to me by different publishers: St. Martin's, Celadon, Grand Central, and Forever. This here is from Celadon Publishing, and I am so grateful that I took the time to organize my nonfiction arcs in order to get them read. That was my goal for this week. As of the making of this video, it is Saturday morning, so I did meet this week's goal of reading the nonfiction arcs that were on my shelf. This book, Finding Freedom, is an excellent book, and we're going to start this review by reading the author blurb at the back of the book. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but it says, long before the Lost Kitchen became a worldwide dining destination, with every seating filling the day the reservation book opens each spring, Erin French was a girl roaming barefoot on a 25-acre farm, a teenager falling in love with food while working the line at her dad's diner, and a young woman finding her calling as a professional chef at her tiny restaurant tucked into a 19th century mill. This singular memoir and a classic American story invites readers to Erin's corner of her beloved Maine to share the real person behind the girl from Freedom, fairy tale, and the not-so-picture-perfect struggles that have taken every ounce of her strength to overcome and that make Erin's life triumphant. In Finding Freedom, Erin opens up about the challenges, stumbles, and victories that have led her to the exact place she was always meant to be, telling stories of multiple rock bottoms, of darkness and anxiety, of survival as a jobless single mother, of pills that promised release but delivered addiction, of a man who seemed to offer salvation but in the end ripped away her very sense of self, and the beautiful son who was her guiding light as she slowly rebuilt her personal and culinary life around the solace she found in food, as a source of comfort, a sense of place, as a way of bringing goodness into the world. Erin's experiences with deep loss and abiding hope, told with honesty and humor, will resonate with women everywhere who are determined to find their voices, create community, grow stronger, and discover their best selves despite seemingly impossible odds. Set against the backdrop of rural Maine and its slushy, intense, bountiful seasons, Finding Freedom reveals the passion and courage needed to invent oneself in the poignant, timeless connection between food and generosity, renewal, and freedom. And you can see at the back of the book, there's some beautiful food items there, because the Lost Kitchen is the restaurant that Erin French owns. And here she is here. And let me tell you, I didn't know what I was going into with any of these nonfiction books, other than the fact that I scoured through my books of arcs and found the nonfiction ones, and this is the last in the queue. And like I said, I didn't know what I was going into. I just knew that I wanted to read it. And what we have here is a woman who found strength, hope, and freedom by rebuilding her life. She found joy. Now, here Erin worked with her father in his diner, but they had a horrible relationship. He was just not a kind man. And then she became pregnant at 21. She had completed 2 years in college or was in her second year of college. She got pregnant, so she dropped out of college. Her goal was to get out of the small town of Maine that they lived in, to get off of that 25-acre farm and to become a doctor. But now was about to become an unwed mother. Now, her father was horrible. He was already horrible to her as when she was a child. And now she's about to bring a life into this world, and he's still hard on her. But she stuck to her guns. She did not give up her child. She did not abort her child. She had him. His name was James, Jaim. And she continued to work and to try to make a home for her and her son. Then comes Tom. At least in the book he's called Tom, but on the internet it says Todd. But maybe for respect's sake she called him Tom in the book. And he seemed like he was going to sweep her off her feet. He was her father's age. I think he was 21 years older than she was. And they had a sizzle of attraction, and it led to marriage. He even adopted her son, legally adopted her son. But that marriage was full of trouble. Full of trouble. Meanwhile, Jamie, by now, has established her own restaurant. So the stress of her bad marriage, this ongoing difficult relationship with her father, and running a business, which means the cooking and the staff and the books, her anxiety grew and grew and grew. She had very enabling doctors because anytime she would go to her doctor, he would just hand her a prescription. Pill, pill, pill. So she became an addict. And due to her addiction, her life completely fell apart. It's like you take a jigsaw puzzle, the pieces are all disassembled, so you throw it up in the air, and now you have to try to make sense of it. Or you could say that you have a completed jigsaw puzzle with all the pieces already together, and you jumble it up, and now you have to assemble it. Well, that was her life. That was Erin's life. How was she going to rebuild her life? Let me tell you, this is a book of hope. Okay, yes, I just read a book of hope by Jane Goodall, but this is also a book of hope. Because she learned that she didn't have to be judged by her past, that the train wreck of her life could be turned around. And she decided to focus on the goodness in front of her. When she did this, the pieces of her life, the pieces of that puzzle, began falling into place. I'm taking something from this. There were things in my life in recent past when I spoke my own truth about how broken I was. But she didn't want to be judged by her past, and she focused on the goodness in front of her. And that's my takeaway from this book. And in this, like I said, she found hope, she found joy, and she found freedom. And that's the name of the book, Finding Freedom. This book was utterly, utterly remarkable. As I got to the end of the book, with the restaurant that the newest restaurant that she started, the Lost Kitchen, it became so popular and her food was so good that they could not satisfy the customers as far as finding seating for everybody. So they had a special reservation system set up in order to fulfill people's wishes to eat at her restaurant. So with that type of popularity, I decided to Google it. And when I Googled it, I discovered something. I discovered that it is a television show called The Lost Kitchen on the Magnolia Network. Now, I have Verizon, so I will go check in a little bit to see if I have that network. And if I do, that's what I'll be binge watching today. So she has this television show. I checked, and there are 6 episodes for season 1. And it says it's from Chip and Joanna Gaines. Okay. Now, this book came out in 2021. So I would imagine that if the show was renewed, they would be getting ready for season number 2. So I'm going to watch the first 6 episodes one way or another, even if I have to watch it. You go to the Magnolia Network on my laptop, but first I will try my television. The only other thing I can say is that this book came from the publisher is Celadon, and I want to thank Celadon for sending me random books. Let's see, from Celadon, I have Grand Central, but I'm just going to separate the Celadon books from the Grand Central books. Okay, okay, for the nonfiction, because I have St. Martin's, I have Grand Central, I have Forever, and I think I have another publisher here. But for Celadon, I have these 3 books: Finding Freedom, The Book of Hope, and Love People Use Things. I have lots of other Celadon books. They're right over there. But those are fiction. But for nonfiction, these are the 3 nonfiction Celadon books that I have. I am so grateful for the publisher for, let's see, I have another one, but it's Grand Central. I am so grateful for the publisher sending me these books because I just feel so edified. I feel so rich. I kind of feel empowered. I spoke my truth. And then I get these wonderful, wonderful books about finding hope, Love People Use Things, and finding freedom. And there aren't enough words. So read this book by Erin French. Check out her show on the Magnolia Network. Maybe in one of my whipping chats, I'll talk to you about the show after I see it, or my stitching chats. But I guess that's about it. I don't have any more notes. I don't have any more notes. I was just looking at my notes, and that's it. So thank you very much. I'll be back with more. Bye-bye.